Hello, citizens of the Dark Knight Nation, and welcome to Comics Insider. Today we're going to be breaking down, discussing, and analyzing the next Batman by John Ridley, drawn by Nick Darrington, and with colors by Tamara Bonvillain. This is something, obviously, that's been on folks' minds for a long time. This iteration of Batman has been teased for months, so I look forward to getting into it with you guys and breaking down what's working with this issue and what might not be working, for my money at least. With that being said, if you guys would do me a big solid, like this video if you end up enjoying, subscribe down to the channel for more content like this, and comment down below letting me know what your thoughts are on the next Batman. And if you can do all of those things for me, and if we can hit 21 likes by the end of the first 3 days after this video is posted, I will give you guys an opportunity to win a free digital copy of my comic book. Yes, that's right, my comic book. Area 51, the Helix Project, a sci-fi noir story taking place in a United States populated by the fear of the Cold War. And with that being said, the United States government enacts a secret experimental project known as the Helix Project, where they graft the DNA of foreign extraterrestrial beings onto American soldiers in order to use their special biological properties to mutate for espionage, combat, and a number of other things. It has some huge impacts from a larger scale to very interpersonal things, so I hope you'll consider giving it a look. If you want to straight up pick it up for yourself, you can go click the link in the description below to DarkKnightNation.com/shop. With that out of the way, let's get on with the show. The next Batman, #1, opens up with the new Batman trailing a low-life criminal down an alley, while his monologue plays over top, providing exposition on Gotham's current backdrop. The city's new mayor has commissioned the Magistrate, a private security force that patrols Gotham looking for mass vigilantes, and to make matters worse, they're told to shoot on sight. With this monologue in hand, we're led to believe that it was the Magistrate that took the original Batman Bruce Wayne off the board, and it seems like the world believes him dead, although the Dark Detective miniseries coming out soon may be shedding a little bit more light on that. Batman makes his presence known in a rather violent fashion, debilitating the thug with ease. And per the lovable vigilante trope, the cops arrive just as the hero removed the man's mask. Basically, we find out here that he does it to prevent what would have been an inevitable pileup of hostility from the police, because masks are essentially looked at as immediate criminality in Gotham as of right now. And so Batman manages to escape the conflict as we cut to the underground of Gotham's little Santa Prisca neighborhood. And there, a collection of Bane wannabes pressure two young boys into indoctrinating themselves into the gang for protection, security, and most convincingly of all, family. After being disposed of by their parents, teachers, and cops, the boys will take pretty much whatever they can get, regardless of who it's coming from. So they take their masks and prep for their first job. The perspective then shifts to Luke Fox visiting his relapsed sister at the hospital, only to find his brother Tim has beat him to the punch. And based on their heated conversation, we learn that Tim Fox has been absent from the family for some undetermined amount of time. We do know, however, that it's been a couple of years, as he was supposedly training at some sort of military academy. And here Luke pushes his brother away. As far as he's concerned, his brother just doesn't get to show up as the dust settles. The eldest sibling wasn't around when the family needed him most, so they certainly don't need him or want him now, for that matter. With that, Tim leaves his sister's bedside on unstable footing, and we pick back up with the young boys on the streets of Gotham. The older Banes attempt to pressure them into knocking off a member of an enemy crew, but just as one of the brothers finds it in him to pull off the job, the younger of the two shoves him, saving the hype soldier. With the wheel of the car in the hands of the two full-blown gang members, they pull the vehicle back around for a literal hit and run. Lo and behold, Batman arrives on the scene to save the day, and as Bats gets to work on the thugs, the two young boys make a break for it into a nearby alley, only to find the Dark Knight waiting there for them. With the sirens of the Magistrate getting closer, it becomes a race against the clock to get the two youths off the street, where one of the two brothers eggs the youngest to fire on their wannabe savior. The armed of the two concedes to Batman's appeal. The eldest brother, Nestor, bounds off to escape his would-be savior and traitorous brother just as red dot rifle sights begin to litter the alley. Thinking on his feet, the new Batman throttles a smoke pellet into the ground, drawing cover, and grappling the two boys up into the city skyline, safe from the militant Magistrate. And we finish out this issue on a little internal monologue, pretty much echoing that even though much has changed, just as much has stayed the same. So, what did I think about the next Batman #1? I feel like the most encapsulating word to describe this is meh. I was definitely a little bit skeptical about hailing one of the Fox brothers as the Batman immediately after Bruce, although that certainly wasn't going to detract from my enjoyment of the story, because I had confidence in John Ridley being able to pull it off well and with nuance. And based on this first issue, I didn't find that very much. This issue felt like it had a lot of sort of nothingness and filler moments that were dry and mostly expository. Even the emotional linchpin of this issue between Jace, or Tim Fox, and Luke Fox re-encountering each other pretty much over their sister's unconscious body in the hospital felt indulgently tropey and kind of lacked nuance. You can do that, one family member comes home caring after going on this massive sort of journey of growth and self-reflection, and somebody who's remained by the family side becomes sort of resentful of that figure for coming back. You can do that, but based on how it was executed in this issue, the supposed familial drama was more spoken and explained to us rather than shown through the dialogue or through sort of gestural character acting. I didn't really get a good sense of it over them just kind of telling me about it. And with that, the character designs via Nick Darrington between Luke and Tim Fox were almost exactly the same, aside from the fact that Tim Fox has a facial hair and a slightly different haircut. If you take that away, they look exactly the same design-wise. The issue also makes these sort of middling commentaries on underprivileged youth and the pressures of crime, and I probably feel like that was the most resonant and best executed theme of this story, although not spectacularly well. Also sort of commentaries on addiction and family, and I feel like the family aspect is really going to be played out throughout these 4 issues. Ultimately, it just felt hyper predictable for a screenwriter, and a screenwriter as talented as John Ridley. I expected the dialogue to be super sharp, and I didn't feel that way at all. And again, the only way I can describe the dialogue also was meh. You know what I'm saying? I found myself constantly checking how many pages were left until the story was done. So at bare minimum, this issue has also sort of failed to entertain me and capture my attention. Moving more over into the art, I found some generally boring camera work that often makes very little shifts in angles during conversational scenes or things like that. And I feel like, and especially the dramatic moment in the hospital, playing around with camera could have really done some serious work to elevating the moment. And there are some exceptions, like the opening scene I thought was well shot, so to speak, and the shootout towards the end of the issue. And this is a nitpick, admittedly. This is a really, really, really nitpicky comment to make, and admittedly, it's probably because I'm in the middle of working on the second issue to my comic book and editing through art and picking out those things in my own work. So I am just currently on high alert for stuff like this at the moment. Nick Darrington, if you're watching this for some reason, I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. The area that I'd probably give Nick Darrington the most compliments is in the sense of movement or physics in non-animated objects during like the action scenes where glass is breaking, cars are crunching, metal is getting bent. That actually looked really solid to me, and it really helped to amp up the more energetic physical scenes. And really, again, as a sort of last note on Darrington's art, I was really disappointed by the character acting. Usually when you have an artist that is less sort of detail-oriented, they really exceed in character acting, gestural stuff that pushes the sequential narrative of the story forward, and I actually felt like Nick Darrington didn't do well in either of those categories, so it was a little bit disappointing. Now, I want to give credit to Tamara Von Villen for her colors, because I think it tonally saved the art of this issue in many ways. It's really poppy. It's often able to maintain an element of seriousness while evoking this really vintage comic book aesthetic, which I really, really enjoyed. A lot of bright pops of like CMYK colors for the most part, cyan, yellow, magenta, and black. It plays off really well, and it also, just now that I'm into the comic book production side of things, it was a great choice in terms of how it's going to be seen on the printed page. I also would be remiss if I didn't mention the book just physically feels cheap. It's super thin. It feels like newspaper stock. The covers are like the same thickness as the interior, and for an $8 book, I kind of expect more, especially considering it's one of the big two. You come into Future State, this big hyped up sort of concept, and you get a real flimsy book. And mind you, this is like an 80-page comic or 60-something page comic. It's not good. It's not very good. Overall, I didn't hate this story in any means. I don't think it did anything actively that bothered me too much, but it also failed to do anything particularly of note. I will be giving the next couple of issues a chance, if not to read the other two sort of backup features, The Outsiders and Arkham Knights. I found those to be good, and if you would like to see me review and analyze those, feel free to let me know down in the comments below. If we get enough of you guys that want it, I'm glad to go do that for you. But yeah, overall, I'd probably have to give this story like a 5 out of 10. That's where we stand. Ultimately, a very sort of middling issue. A lot of the more emotional, character-driven elements felt really flat in execution. The art, I also felt like didn't hold up. But I will say that the cover art, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing this, Ladrone, did a brilliantly composed original cover, and I also enjoyed Olivier Coipel's sort of close-up shot of a brutalized Tim Fox's Batman. So, giving credit where credit is due. If you enjoyed my analysis of the next Batman by John Ridley and co., please make sure to leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel for more like this, and comment letting me know what your thoughts are on the concept of this next Batman. Again, if we can hit 21 likes within the first 3 days of this video being published, I'll be giving away a free digital copy of my comic, Area 51, the Helix Project. So please make sure to follow the aforementioned liking, commenting, and subscribing in order to enter, and we'll be able to get that copy to you. Now, if you'd like to buy a physical copy, you're more than welcome to go to DarkKnightNation.com/shop. You can find a link in the description. Otherwise, you can check out my local comic book store, AJ's Comics, in Colchester, Connecticut. Link in the description below to their website and their Twitter, where you can get in touch with them. And one of the things that I like so much about the shop and why I frequent it so much is that not only is the owner super friendly and helpful and ready to do what he can to get you what you need, the subscription service is top-notch. You save 10% off on everything in the store, and after you reach over a certain amount, that discount doubles. What's really cool as well is if you're nowhere near the store, they're actually willing to ship your comic books to you anywhere in the United States. If your order accumulates over to $100 as well, the shipping's totally free, which is super, super cool. It also applies to those of you in the military on base overseas, which is another really great perk. And lastly, you can manage your pull box completely online if you want to, making it really, really easy to make sure that you get the comics that you want. And on that, if you want to support a local comic book store while also supporting the Helix Project and my publishing company, Pocket Watch Press, you can actually buy a signed copy from AJ's Comics. All you have to do is hit him up, so please consider giving him a look. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video from Dark Knight Nation.